In this video, I want to show you how to derive the quadratic formula. And the quadratic formula is the one which is appearing on the screen here. That is in red. That's the formula that I want to derive. I want to show you where we get this formula from. So that's the quadratic formula that we use to solve quadratic equations. Right. Let's start with the general form of a quadratic equation. Any quadratic equation can be expressed in the form ax plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So I will start from here. So the method that we use to derive the quadratic formula is by completing the square. Right, so I want to complete the square. So to complete the square, first of all, I have to make sure that the coefficient of x squared here is 1. So in this case, it's a. So I have to take out that a. So I will factorize, and I will only factorize these two terms only. Since c is independent of x, I will leave that c. So I will take out a like this, and if I take out a, I will remain with the x squared plus b over ax. Please note that there is no a here. So if I take out a from the term that has no a, it will be that term over a. Right. Now, I now want to add a new term. And this new term must be half the coefficient of x squared. I am taking the coefficient of x here, which is b over a. I divide it by 2. So that's half of the coefficient of x. Right. Then after that, I will square it. So I will introduce that term. But to maintain this equal sign, I don't have to add new terms and leave them there. So I have to subtract it. I also have to subtract that term like this. I have added half coefficient of a. The coefficient of x here is b over a. So I am adding half of b over a, and that's half of b over a squared. Right, this is a new term. The whole of this one is a new term. So to maintain the equal sign here, I have to remove that new term. So I am now subtracting the same new term. So I have added nothing because I have added this one. Right now I am now subtracting it. So I have added 0, in other words. Right, let me distribute the square here. Let me distribute the square here. This will be everything is just appearing as it is above. Right, but this one I am distributing the square according to the laws of indices. I can distribute the power. I can distribute the power. This is b to the power 2. Everything in the brackets here is raised to the power 2. So b to the power 2, we get b squared. Then 2 squared, we get 4a squared, we get a squared like this. Right. Then after that, I now want to take this term out of the brackets. I want to take this term out of the brackets. Right. But as it will leave the brackets, remember we have got a here. A is multiplying everything in these brackets. So as this one will leave brackets, it will be multiplied by a like this. Right. We now have this part remaining in these brackets like this. Then this minus b squared over 4a is being multiplied by a since it is now leaving the brackets. Right. Then this reduces to, if we cancel the a's, we remain with b squared divided by 4a. Right, then from there, I now want to take this part, these terms. I want to take these terms to the right hand side. And this is minus b squared over 4a. So on the right hand side, it will be b squared over 4a. It will be positive like this. Then c is positive on the left hand side. It is now negative on the right hand side. Right? Then let me express the right hand side as a single fraction. let me express the right hand side as a single fraction. This is c over 1. Right. So as a single fraction, the common denominator is 4a. The common denominator is 4a here. So I will express this one as a single fraction. It will be b squared minus 4ac, like this. Now, my aim is to make x the subject of the formula. If you still remember the formula is x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 4a. All over 2a. Right. So I want to make x the subject of the formula here. So I am now dividing both sides by a. I am now dividing both sides by a, like this. If I divide this side by a, I will remain with this one. And if I divide this side by a, dividing this side by a is the same as multiplying the denominator, multiplying 4a by a. Right. We are multiplying the denominator by a. That's dividing by a. Right. Now, let's make x the subject. We want to make this x the subject. So we are now applying the square root on both sides. And as we apply the square root on both sides, on one of the sides we have to put the plus or minus sign, like this. So I want to put my plus or minus sign on the right hand side, like this. If I apply the square root on the left hand side, the square root of this one squared will be x plus b over 2a. Right, like this. After applying the square root, I will remain with x plus b over 2a, which is equals to, if I distribute the square root here, the square root of 4a squared is 2a, and this one will remain there. Now, I am now taking the whole of this fraction to the other side, because I want to make x the subject of the formula. So I am taking minus b over 2a. I am taking b is plus b over 2a to the right hand side, but as it changes the side, it also changes the sign, so it will be minus b over 2a, like this. Right. I can now express this one as a single fraction. The denominator is the same. We have 2a here as the denominator, we have 2a here as the denominator. So since the denominator is the same, the denominators are the same, we are only going to simplify the numerator. So we are saying it is minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. And if we express this one as a single fraction, we'll find this one. And that's the quadratic formula. That's how we derive the quadratic formula. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our videos. Thank you once again.